Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Dominique Moisy, who is one of the founders of the French Institute for International Relations. Welcome to the France 24 interview. We're exactly 2 months away from round one of the presidential election. The campaign has started. As things stand right now, the incumbent Conservative President Nicolas Sarkozy is way behind in the polls, way behind François Hollande, the Socialist Party candidate. So one very simple question. Is it mission impossible for Nicolas Sarkozy?
The former Prime Minister of England, Harold Wilson, used to say that 1 week is an extremely long time in politics. We are more than 8 weeks away from the elections. I will be very prudent, but it looks like a difficult, very difficult mission. I wouldn't use the word mission impossible, impossible task. That would be very imprudent. And Sarkozy has demonstrated before what an incredible candidate he could be, what an energetic man. But the challenges are formidable.
What are the main challenges facing Nicolas Sarkozy? Is it his image, his policy, just the general economic situation across Europe?
I think the first challenge is probably that a majority of Frenchmen don't want to see his face on television for the next 5 years. 54% of the French have said, according to very recent public opinion polls, that they knew that they would definitely not vote for Nicolas Sarkozy.
Why?
Essence, perception of essence, much more than performance. It's a strange thing. In a way, it's emotional, it's subjective. You can say it's very unfair, because on balance, the record of Nicolas Sarkozy is far from negligible, especially given the exceptional tough circumstances he has been at the head of France, during the time he has been at the head of France. But the French look at him negatively.
But how do you explain? In 2007, he was able to seduce not only conservatives, but also people from different political opinions. And was there something that happened along the way that made people dislike Nicolas Sarkozy after having been seduced by him?
Well, there are many ways of explaining that. There are those who are disappointed because initially, in the first 2 years, the president has desacralized, trivialized the function of the presidency. They could see him as the Prime Minister of France, but not as the Queen of England, the incarnation, the symbol of the power. Then there are those who have been disappointed by the rightist turn on ethical issues of Nicolas Sarkozy. His call to the most conservative values has created a divorce with a lot of humanistic centrists who voted for him in 2007 and who are not going to repeat that vote in 2012.
He is now presenting himself. He launched his campaign a week or so ago as someone who would protect France from the dangers of the crisis, of the euro, of the debt crisis. Is this a good argument that he can shield France from the dangers from abroad?
Well, I think right now, if you look at the comparative tactics of Nicolas Sarkozy and François Hollande, Nicolas Sarkozy says, I will save you, and I'm the only one to be able to do it. François Hollande, by contrast, says, I will help you save yourself. In a way, when François Hollande says, France is not the problem, France is the solution, he demonstrates much more confidence in the French than Nicolas Sarkozy himself, who presents himself as the providential leader, a kind of modern Bonaparte. But is it what the French are expecting? If they are distrustful of politics and slightly uneasy with politicians, someone who says, I'm going to save you, is not necessarily up to the task, up to the modernity of the message the French want to hear.
But what about the modernity of François Hollande? He's a party apparatchik. He was at the helm of the Socialist Party for a decade. He said earlier that he wanted to be, quote unquote, a normal president. How charismatic is that?
He is not. He is definitely not charismatic.
Is that a good thing?
It may be a good thing. In a way, the debate can be summarized in the following manner. Is Sarkozy too much? And is Hollande enough? Enough for the presidency of the Fifth Republic. But the French seem to have said, according to the present polls, that Sarkozy was simply too much.
But is it just a question of personality or also of ideas? I mean, do you see clear differences between what Nicolas Sarkozy is proposing and what François Hollande is counter-offering?
Well, for the moment, I'm not sure people are deciding themselves according to the respective programs of the president. And this is one of the weaknesses of François Hollande right now. It's unclear what his program is really going to be. He tries not to lose the tough left while not endangering his positions with the center left.
This is what Nicolas Sarkozy alluded to in one quote he gave in a recent speech when he said François Hollande tries to be Margaret Thatcher in London and François Mitterrand in Paris.
Well, he's much more François Mitterrand than Margaret Thatcher. He's not an Iron Man. And this may be a strength. After 5 years of an Iron Man, i.e. Nicolas Sarkozy, the French may want someone who looks more gentle, a federator, more than a leader. In a way, someone who can reconcile the French with themselves, whereas Nicolas Sarkozy had divided them and has had too many zigzags in his policy to reassure the French. So the times have changed. And in a way, what we are seeing today is the attempt by Nicolas Sarkozy to repeat 2007. Is it anachronistic? We'll know in 2 months.
In terms of foreign policy, do you see differences between what Nicolas Sarkozy has been doing, is advocating, and what François Hollande is proposing?
At the margin, at the margin. I think on balance, the record on foreign policy of Nicolas Sarkozy was very good. I mean, he made a difference in Ivory Coast, he made a difference in Libya, he preserved the interest of France in Europe. He would speak different. François Hollande would speak differently about Germany. He would not be obsessed with the German model.
Yeah, because, sorry for jumping in, but this has become a campaign issue. Nicolas Sarkozy is touting the German model, repeatedly bringing Angela Merkel with him, maybe during the campaign.
Yes, it may backfire very easily. Can you say to the French, if only you were Germans, you would work harder, you would be efficient. Let's have Germany as a model. I'm not sure it worked that well, and I'm not sure the French will be pleased to see the Chancellor of Germany telling them for whom to vote. It's an embarrassing gift. It may prove to be the kiss of death.
Right, but you would assume that Nicolas Sarkozy, who was always careful, polling a lot, and something probably figures out that Angela Merkel and Germany must be popular, and he's telling the French you should be like Germany if you don't want to become Greece.
Well, there is an interesting contradiction. On the one hand, Nicolas Sarkozy says to the French, I am the people and I'm protecting you against the elite who have abandoned you, betrayed you. And on the other hand, he says, look, the European elites are voting for me. I have behind me the Prime Minister of England, the Chancellor of Germany, and the Prime Minister of Spain. So the elite are good when they come from the outside and bad from they are from within. It's a strange and probably difficult balance to maintain.
Last question. The Joker may be a foreign policy crisis that might. Do you see this maybe as having an impact during the campaign and maybe throwing all the cards up in the air?
Well, you can have a scenario in which an Israeli attack on Iran would save Sarkozy on the eve of the elections. But first, it's very unlikely. I don't think a new war in Iran is about to start. No, a major crisis in Europe in which Spain would be attacked, and not only Greece, would probably have an impact. I mean, people are right to say a tough situation may be good for Hollande. A very tough situation may be the last chance for Nicolas Sarkozy.
Okay, we'll have to see who ends up winning. Thank you very much, Dominique Moisy, for coming on the France 24 interview. And thank you all for watching it. Stay tuned here on France 24 for more news.